In the 1980s, the entertainment industry produced a surge of instantly recognizable faces. MTV, magazine covers, and television interviews turned musicians, actors, and entertainers into overnight celebrities. One of them was a star who appeared to have it all: charting songs, sold-out tours, and a distinct image that set them apart in a competitive era. Their face was on posters, their music filled the airwaves, and their presence was undeniable. But just a few years later, they vanished from the spotlight completely. No announcement, no farewell tour, no dramatic exit, and perhaps most surprisingly, no one seemed to notice. This artist rose to fame during the early part of the decade, when pop music and synthesizers dominated global charts. Their debut release gained traction quickly, propelled by a visually driven music video that captured the attention of the emerging MTV generation. Their fashion, vocal style, and stage persona aligned perfectly with the moment. They toured across Europe, North America, and Japan, riding the momentum of a hit that became an international sensation. But while the public consumed the polished product, the machinery behind the scenes was running on borrowed time. The artist was not a solo act in the traditional sense. Like many others of the time, they were part of a studio-driven project. Producers and executives selected performers not necessarily for their musical ability, but for their image and willingness to front pre-recorded material. This star became the public-facing identity of a brand created by others. They did not write their music. They did not produce their tracks. And as quickly as they were introduced, their presence was already being managed for obsolescence. The second album underperformed. The follow-up singles failed to chart. The record label, facing shifting industry priorities, moved resources elsewhere. Meanwhile, new artists flooded the market, each offering fresh variations of the same formula. The industry moved on. The star, once the center of attention, became a footnote. As press coverage dried up, they returned home, away from media centers like Los Angeles or London, and slipped into private life. For years, no interviews were given, no appearances were made. Music publications that had once featured the star didn't follow up. Fan clubs dissolved. Even within niche circles, their name became a piece of trivia rather than an active subject of interest. They weren't involved in scandals or public controversies. They simply stopped appearing. This made their disappearance all the more invisible. Without a public narrative or dramatic arc, there was nothing to generate headlines. The entertainment industry often elevates personalities for a short-term purpose. In this case, the star's image was commodified and discarded with precision. Their voice may have been dubbed, their live performances may have been mimed, and their creative input may have been minimal, but their face became temporarily iconic, until the attention moved elsewhere. And when they disappeared, the public had already been redirected toward new trends, new artists, and new products. Occasionally, their music resurfaces in retro playlists or 1980s-themed compilations. But the listener rarely wonders what became of the person behind the hit. There's no official documentary, no career retrospective, and no comeback album. The story ends not with a fall from grace or public unraveling, but with silence, a controlled exit from an artificial spotlight. This star's vanishing was not marked by a dramatic moment. It happened gradually and quietly, because they were never truly part of the system in a sustainable way. Their presence was manufactured, their role transactional, and their departure convenient for those who engineered their brief rise. In the end, they became one of many, a star of the 1980s who disappeared and nobody noticed.